Professor Subra Suresh, President and Distinguished University Professor, NTU Singapore. Professor Dame Parveen Kumar, Keynote Speaker and Professor of Medicine and Education, Barts and London School of Medicine, Queen Mary University in London. Professor James Best, Dean, Lee Kong Chiang Medical School, and Professor Naomi Lobeer and Mr. Martin Lupton, conference co-chairpersons. Esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Universities are amazing places that have huge societal relevance, both locally and globally. Most of the present-day cutting-edge research takes place at universities, and the world would not be the same without them. But the most important task of universities, and the one that is by far the most societally relevant, is the education they provide. Universities train generations of future global leaders. They train their students to understand the world, to gain deep knowledge in their chosen field, but also to become critical thinkers and problem solvers and multidisciplinary team workers. And in doing so, universities use their research and they help students understand the value of evidence-based thinking. The most important societal impact universities have, in my mind, is in the training of their students. Our planet is not in great shape, I think we can all agree. And climate change may be the most significant threat, but there are many challenges that are large and that affect every country on Earth and every human being. We need the brain power and the skills of the next generations of academically trained young people to help change the global situation for the better. And given the huge importance of providing the right education to equip young people with the necessary skills, it is amazing that academic institutions have not traditionally been focused on the evidential rigor of their education, the same way they have been on the rigor of their research. We lose huge opportunities if we don't teach in the most effective ways, if we don't think about the kinds of graduates that the 21st century world needs, and if we don't adapt our teaching to those needs. But things are changing, and this conference is proof of that. And medicine, I think, has always been ahead of other fields in terms of focus on good education. Perhaps because patient care is such a large part of it, and perhaps because evidence-based medicine has been such a powerful movement. And to get medical education right in this age of global challenges may be more important than ever. So many medical problems bind us across the globe. The aging populations everywhere on this planet, the potentially rapid spread of infectious diseases and epidemics, and I know Singapore has had its fair share of the SARS epidemic in 2003, and Tan Tock Seng Hospital has dealt with many SARS patients, and there will be other epidemics, we all know that. The rise of chronic disease burdens in low and middle income countries, just like previously and still ongoing in the West, growing poverty, growing inequality, which has huge effects on health and close to my heart, especially on children and people in the early stages of their lives. And it will influence their development way into adulthood. And those are all huge themes that are not unique to one given continent or one given country. And I think educators across the globe, and you're probably all sharing this with me, are beginning to understand that pure knowledge transition, telling students facts, is not the most important tool anymore in teaching. Because knowledge we can find at our fingertips, literally, on our iPads and computers and still in textbooks to some degree. So it's about something else. It's about teaching students all those skills that they need to become these global leaders. So I think we're moving away from teaching in the sage on the stage kind of way to being more like a guide on the side and truly using our students as partners in this endeavor and creating an academic community in which they help co-deliver their curriculum and co-create a large part of university research. And that's what Imperial College is trying to do with its learning and teaching strategy, and I also know that's been the basis of LKC Medicine's way of teaching medical students. We're trying to move away from purely lecture-based teaching to something which is much more interactive and which creates this truly strong academic community of teachers and students in different roles, but in respectful collaboration. And so at Imperial, we're trying to change our pedagogy, and many of the things that will be discussed these next 2 days we can take back and use. And of course, we'll also try to inspire some of you here with what we're doing and what we're piloting, and where we definitely can use support from across many different countries. Diversity and inclusion are a very important part of our changing of our learning and teaching strategy, because we know if we build a stronger community of students from traditionally underrepresented groups will be much more likely to engage with everybody in the classroom. They can bring their backgrounds to the table that can become an asset instead of a slight problem. So they don't need to change to become like the traditional students. They can really change the classroom by being true partners in the academic community. And that goes for international students, which Imperial has a lot of, but also for UK students who are from underrepresented backgrounds. So we're looking very much forward to really creating a different movement and getting many different types of students into our academic communities. Education technology, Professor Suresh has already mentioned it, of course, can play an incredibly important role in the change of our pedagogy. There are increasing opportunities that technology offers us for engaging with our students in the classroom, for flipping the classroom so some of the knowledge can be gained before students come in, and then truly using the classroom for interaction, for group work, for going much deeper into the material, and for discussing it in many different ways. But digital technology also enables us to bring our education to larger parts of the world than so far has been the case. And I find that truly exciting, that top universities such as NTU, LKC, and Imperial and others can bring their superb research and their hopefully superior teaching to many, many different parts of the globe, and teach students who can't physically get to us and spend a year or 2 years on our campuses. So doing that with online courses, MOOCs, but also potentially many, many more online credit-bearing courses, I think is a great advantage of using technology in the classroom. And of course, there are all these other cutting-edge technologies such as artificial reality and virtual reality, and especially in medical teaching and surgical education, I think they'll create huge opportunities that are exciting and fun. But I think it's also important to look at the potential side effects, and I completely agree with what Professor Suresh has said. I think technology, digital technology, can enhance the sense of community, but it can also alienate. And I think it's up to us as universities at that cutting edge of education to work with our students and to make sure we know what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And it's all new. We're venturing into a space that no one has gone into before. So we need to work with each other and with our students to make sure that we do things that are beneficial and do as little that's not beneficial. I think Imperial and NTU LKC are great partners in this new adventure, and they're a wonderful match. There's an enormous amount of synergy already, and I can see that that's going to grow in the next few years to decades. So we truly, I think, are the best of both worlds. And looking at the conference program today, there are amazing speakers, and you'll see one of them after I'm finished, but there are other speakers these next 2 days that can bring you lots of their wisdom and experience. But there are also great workshops, and I looked at some of the titles. And there's a workshop on growth, mindset, study skills, well-being, very important themes in all research-intensive universities around the world. But there was also one which struck me, which is called Death of MCQ, which I think is also going to be a really interesting one. So I think we're really on top of it, and we know what's important to discuss together. I think there are going to be many, many very energetic participants who want to share, but also learn and be inspired. And it's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to being inspired by all of you and to meet old friends, but also make some new friends. So I want to thank everyone for coming. Of course, thank NTU, LKC for hosting this wonderful conference. We're planning on returning the favor in the spring of 2020, date still to be determined. But I hope you'll all come to London then and bring some more of your colleagues and tell them about this great conference, and let's try to do something similar in London in a little over a year. And let me finish by reminding myself and hopefully all of you that we're all here, and I'm absolutely certain of that, because we want to make the world a better place. And I hope this conference will enable us to do that even more effectively. Thank you very much.